But now I don't see those cobbles and curbs. I don't hear the blues anymore.
Rough Trade is giving away a third off the first 3 months of the Rough Trade Club plus new music membership exclusively to 101 Part-Time Jobs listeners. Become a member of Rough Trade Club New Music and you'll receive the Rough Trade Album of the Month straight to your door every month on exclusive vinyl pressing with exclusive bonus material. Club members have received exclusive pressings of albums from Sufjan Stevens, Sprints, The Last Dinner Party, Julie Byrne, and Over Mono, just to name a few, this past year alone. Sign up using the promo code CLUB101POD and you'll get the Rough Trade Album of the Month, English Teacher's excellent debut album, This Could Be Texas, on exclusive Galaxy Gold for a third of the usual price. Here's English Teacher on a recent episode of 101.
How many opportunities do you get to write a debut album and have all of this, sport behind us? I don't know. I really like the idea of holding the bar as being like classic songs.
You only get one shot at a debut.
Don't want the album of the month but still want all the benefits? Sign up to the standard tier using Club 101 Pod and you'll still get the first month free. You'll also get free shipping on all orders, 10% off the bar and on secondhand vinyl in-store, and exclusive access to sold-out Rough Trade events. So don't hang around. Go to roughtrade.com/club and sign up with the code CLUB101POD. That's CLUB101POD and claim money off the album of the month, English Teachers This Could Be Texas, today. This offer's available to UK residents only. Do you play in bands? I did for the longest time. And I wish that I knew that DistroKid was a thing. I don't even think it existed back then. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all the major streaming services. When you get DistroKid, you can see a DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You get notified when you've earned royalties and you can withdraw via the app. And you can even check your streaming stats on Spotify and Apple. Get 30% off your first year on DistroKid by going to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. 30% off for your first year. That's not bad. We know it's a tough world out there. Why don't you make it easier for yourself? And to get 30% off that free year as an artist, where you get 100% of your royalties and earnings, go to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back after this.
The Vietnam War, it's over. Your job just begun.
A new HBO original limited series.
Welcome to the world of spycraft. Strap in.
From executive producers Park Chan-wook and Robert Downey Jr.
What are you concealing?
Based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Viet Thanh Nguyen.
What if I told you that I was a communist spy?
How did you become this?
The Sympathizer, streaming April 14th on Max. Subscription required.
Hey there! Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Hello.
Hey, Tom, it's Giles.
Yo, what's up?
How's it going? You good?
Yeah, I'm great. How you doing?
Pretty good. Hey, what is the scariest situation the Menzingers has ever been in?
The scariest.
The scariest.
Okay. First comes to mind is logistic things where there wasn't enough people working at the venue, or you're in a state that has no oversight and you wonder if the floor is going to collapse. I think the scariest though definitely is the time that we were basically in a tornado. Damn. So we were driving the van and trailer through Nebraska, and the sky started to look very ominous, not like a regular storm. The storm clouds were really high and strange, and there were pockets of weird seafoam green, bright green clouds, and the lightning was yellow.
What?
Yeah, it was super fucked up. very, very strange. So we pulled over to like a little government-funded rest stop bathroom situation, and we're like, damn, this like rain and the wind is insane. We're gonna pull over. Everybody else was pulling over on the side of the road and shit. So we're like, all right, we'll get in there, and we get in, and we're just in this rest stop with a couple of strangers, like the beginning of like a M. Night Shyamalan movie or something. And we were like, okay, well, we learned in we learned in like elementary school in a tornado, you have to like somebody remembered the pressure change will fuck it up. So we like cracked all the windows in there. And a guy who was completely casual, didn't seem bothered by this at all, was standing in the corner. He's like, yeah, there's a tornado. And we were like, what do you mean there's a fucking tornado? And he's like, there's a tornado. Yeah, it's like a mile away, or a quarter mile away or whatever insane distance it was. And it was really, really, really loud. And it was horrifying. We were all freaking out. There's another lady in there. She didn't seem like she really gave a shit. And the wind the noise went away. The wind all died down. And we went outside, and all the metal newspaper dispenser machines were knocked over, and the flags were all torn, and the flagpoles were all knocked over and shit. And we were like, whoa, okay, well, we almost got killed in a tornado. So that was probably definitely the scariest. That didn't involve weird people. Yeah.
Hey, M. Night Shyamalan did Stuart Little.
He did. Wait, he made Stuart Little, the movie with the little talking mouse?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
There you go. Hello, all right, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs with me, Giles Bidder. It's where I speak to bands and artists about their jobs in and outside playing music. Why? Because I think it's pretty interesting. Not everyone's really talking about it. From my experience, I nearly spanned my head out trying to do everything at once all through my 20s, and even now there's a lot of stuff we've all got going on, and I think talking about it, hearing stories, unique perspectives, that's the good shit. All right, on today's episode, we're speaking to someone who has 5,000 followers on Spotify, but it's probably the best thing I've heard, new thing that I've been introduced to in the last couple of years. It reminds me of the time where I discovered the Rentals. It reminds me of the time when I discovered the Fountains of Wayne weren't just that one song, and I went back to that first album and heard Radiation Vibe and thought, what the fuck? It reminds me when my teenage girlfriend introduced me to Limbeck. Has anyone ever listened to Limbeck? It blew my mind. And then I came back to it years later, and it was still fucking awesome. Like Liquid Mike are from the middle of nowhere in Michigan. I know nothing about Michigan, but I know their nearest town is hours away. Mike sent me a low-res picture that's super fuzzy on the artwork that you can see. We spoke on January the 1st about his life in music, working as a postal worker, spoiler alert, and self-recording all of his stuff for 6 years. Their new record, Paul Bunyan's Slingshot, is their 5th album/EP that I could decipher from their Bandcamp. And this is just the best shit in pop punk, punk rock, indie that I've heard in years. This is mad. This is so good. I kind of want to play this song in its entirety, but I'm just not sure I'm allowed to with the rights. Just pause this right now and go and listen to Liquid Mike, and then come back and get the story. You're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to leave a review or subscribe, all that stuff helps massively. Mr. Pickles, my cat right here, is looking at me like he wants some more wet food. You're going to have some dry food again. You can't have wet food all the time. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Don't look a gift crunchy in the mouth, Mr. Pickles. Cheers. 2000 Trees supports this show. I love that festival down in Cheltenham, just a few hours away from London on the train. This July, the lineup is fucking stacked as ever. Who's playing? The Gaslight Anthem's headlining on the Thursday. Manchester Orchestra are playing. Better Lovers, they're pretty heavy. I heard them the other day. They're pretty gnarly. Boston Manor, Hot Mulligan, Gouge Away, the Mysterines. Really, Liquid Mike would be fitting on with that bill. All those bands and support tours. We got to get. Maybe we should book Liquid Mike a tour. 2000 Trees is a really, really great festival. They support 101 Part-Time Jobs. I love it. I've been there to play, review, done some live podcasts there. If you want to get your tickets to Trees this year, it's a camping festival, Wednesday to Saturday. You can get the Sunday off. 2000trees.co.uk, and soon there'll be probably more names that we can talk about on that festival. Can't wait for it.
Introducing Ampolo, the new app for musicians. Using AI stem separation, play along to any song, improving your practice and performance. Record audio or video and connect with musicians all over the world. Collaborating and creating together. Think Google Docs meets TikTok, but for musicians. There's a huge range of video and audio editing tools, and the best part, it's free. Download today and make your mark. Ampolo, made for music.
So coming right up, it's Mike from Liquid Mike, who are about to release one of the best pop punk, indie rock, punk rock albums of the year. Go listen to it. 101 part-time jobs. So you're in Michigan, which is fucking freezing right now, is it?
Yeah, we're in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so it's like the top portion of it. So it gets really freezing. It's really cold. It's a lot of snow. Not a lot of snow this year, but it's been cold.
And you grew up there?
Kinda, yeah. I grew up in Wisconsin, but like the same latitude over in Wisconsin. So it's like I'm used to this type of stuff. But this is where I've been for like 10 years, like in the UP.
This is your adult life.
This is my adult. Yep, for sure. It's been good.
And there's some good bands in Wisconsin. Sorry, that's hard to say today.
Totally. Yeah.
And what, did you get into punk rock and hardcore at an early-ish age then?
Kind of. I kind of feel like there's a lot of like a good scene in Wisconsin, I feel like, but I was kind of like removed from it because it's the town I grew up in Ashland is so far away from like Milwaukee and Madison and Appleton and stuff like that. So I feel like I was always kind of looking at it from a distance. Like I didn't go to a lot of shows like that. There would be shows in like Duluth, Minnesota, which was kind of close, but I feel like
what kind of bands are we talking? Is Tenement from there?
Tenement's from Appleton, Wisconsin, and I didn't really know about that whole thing until I was like 18 or 20, just because it was, so far. Like I was just removed from it. I felt like
So it kind of just exposure to a big extent, isn't it?
Mm-hmm, for sure. So I kind of just relied on internet and like my imagination to kind of figure out what was out there. And there was no music scene in Ashland where I grew up either. Like literally not many bands writing anything. Yeah. So I felt like it kind of gave us like a reason to be weirdos. We kind of would just try anything we wanted, and we'd play no shows, but we would just I kind of like set myself up for like a bad habit of just putting records out and then never playing any shows. It was just kind of like...
Well, you can now. I mean, with the internet, with Bandcamp and Liquid Mike, that was the first thing I thought. I heard about you on Stereogum or on Twitter, X, and going to Bandcamp. One of my first thoughts was, oh, this is the perfect time to be a prolific band.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel a little insecure about it all. I feel like I haven't really earned my stripes or whatever because I have never like toured or anything. It's just been like dedicated everything to the record. But I feel like I kind of lucked into it.
Isn't that it? You put stuff towards the record, and like, look, it's great seeing bands when they come through where you live and seeing bands, but ultimately you live with that record on your headphones. It's the albums that we care about. It's the songs.
Right, and that's kind of how the relationship to music's always been for me. So I guess it makes sense that mirrors that. I'm ready to tour though. I'm ready to hit it hard. 2024.
Is that gonna happen? And well, I mean, before that, I mean, popping off on Stereogum and people finding out about you that way. I mean, Stereogum's up there with Pitchfork, of course, and it's sort of, to me, the most interesting big blog in the way they write. And so lots of people would have found out about you and Liquid Mike through that. Was that a notable moment? You're like, oh shit, people are finding out about this band, people are digging it, people are getting in touch.
Yeah, it was freaky because I mean, I'm not like a massive band by any means or anything, but it was like an overnight pretty dramatic shift as far as like the reach I had or the band had. So yeah, once after the first month of it being weird, I feel like I've gotten more comfortable with just taking it as it is. But it's super cool. I'm super grateful.
It's funny because 101 Part-Time Jobs, that's the name of this show. And I talk to people about their jobs, their quote regular jobs, and we're definitely going to get that they're definitely going to get into that with you because yours is hella interesting, and I can't believe I used the word hella there. Sorry,
I've got plenty of stories.
but you know, before that, one of the big jobs is just like the admin and the promotion and like, you know, say it what it is, like almost like fucking, you don't want to call it marketing, but you want to like share your music. Obviously you don't have to, but if you choose to, you want to do it in the right way. And that in itself is such a job.
It's the worst. It's like the biggest. That's been the hardest part for sure for me, is being like, I really like even like when people will like tag me and post on Instagram, I'm super glad, but I hate being like, look what people are saying about me.
You know, when you reshare your story.
Yeah, it's I love that the people are saying that, but I hate like being like, look at everybody.
Yeah,
look what people think.
It's really difficult because obviously, you know, you want to like. I mean, one big way to look at it is that if someone runs a medium small blog or a podcast and you share it, like that's both of you kind of doing your thing together. That's you being weirdos together. You and this person who's posted it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I've you know, lately it's like you realize everyone's got to do it, and it's not like this. It's just a weird hang up that you got to get over. And
yeah, we're that sort of age, that generation where we remember not having to need Instagram or anything. You know, like MySpace was enough, just about.
Right.
Your earlier bands, were you making demos and putting them on MySpace? And you know,
I never. I was a little after MySpace. It was pretty much just Bandcamp. I would just put records on Bandcamp for like the first, I'm trying to think, probably like 6 years. I would just finish the record that day and then upload it, make one Facebook post on my personal account, and then that was like time to make the next one.
Mate,
it was always
6 years.
Yeah, and that's
a long time.
I'm trying to remember when that was. So yeah, I put the first one in 2013, and then by 2018 we were finally like, you know, we were like putting stuff on streamers, and I felt like that was like a big move.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like nothing.
When you first see your name on Spotify, it's a bit of a shock.
It is.
And I mean, it's interesting now. You know, you mentioned earlier, and everyone who's got an ounce of self-awareness probably would feel the same way. You know, you get attention from particular people, and you're like, oh shit, do I deserve this? It's
like you got the wrong guy. You know, it feels like.
But you've been writing songs for 6 years. Like, you obviously care about it. You obviously want to do it. You've got this inner fuel to do it.
Totally. Yeah. It's never satisfied.
Really?
It's just fun. You know, it's just fun to do. And for the longest time, it was like I was just into the recording part. I just wanted to make records, like in a weird I just like the process of doing that. So I would just write songs just so I could record them. And then now it's kind of like I've really like switched like levels or balances. And now I just really like the writing. And now I almost feel like I'm plateauing on the recording thing. I don't know how much better I can get with what I have.
And so you're self-engineering. Did you start off with 4 tracks and teaching yourself?
I started with like GarageBand when our family got like a laptop when I was in high school, and I would just make beats for like years on that, and uploading those to SoundCloud and stuff. And then that kind of, you know, you eventually want to get an interface to record drums and stuff for the beats, and it just turns and it just snowballs, and you get more and more shit. But yeah, then I would get Logic, and then you get bored of Logic, and then you just want to go to like a 4-track. That's comfy. Yeah, so we did that. We did one 4-track record. It was our second one. You Can Live Forever in Paradise on Earth, and that was, I think we like whipped that out in like a month or something. I think we were just playing, like 2 people had just left the band, and it was just me, Monica, and Cody. And we're like, let's just make something and not think about it. And that was really fun. And then now it's just been back to the computer. And
it's learning what feels good, right? Is that your style? Is your your feeling is like you go towards the things that feel good? I guess my
Totally.
question is, do you do things that you feel like you have to do, or
Yeah.
do you just try and have as much fun with it?
I think some songs require you to like, they call to be recorded on 4-track, or sometimes songs call to be more high. You got to mix up like I don't know. If you do the same thing the same way every time, it can like halt. I don't know. It can hurt your process, I think. So I think switching it up and being able to recognize when a song would sound better, more lo-fi or more hi-fi, can really keep it interesting for you.
I think you've got a really great mix of that. It's like indie, punk rock, catchy power pop. And that's quite like, for me, in my opinion, there's quite a thin line to tread there, because you could go real poppy really easily, and it kind of then takes away some of the grit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you gotta like, it is kind of a spectrum, but I don't think you can hit that sweet spot in a song. You kind of have to hit it in an album. Like you have to have those moments that are, maybe dirtier, explore that in a song, and then that are more poppy in a different song. And that's an easier way to like find that line. It's so hard to do in just a single song.
I think the first band that did that for me was Motion City Soundtrack.
Totally.
Where I was like, these songs are awesome, and I Am the Movie and Commit This to Memory. So poppy, but it was always underpinned by this kind of dirtiness.
Yeah, it's like, especially with pop punk, it's such a I've always thought that like pop punk, it's either the best shit in the world or it's the worst shit in the world. It's like hard to find a medium one.
Totally.
But yeah, someone was talking and talking about Motion City. I remember listening to that band and I was like, I should not like this, but I do like it. Which is the best. I feel like that's the best thing a band can do, is make something that should be bad good.
And also, like, parallel to that is like something that confuses you in a way. That you're like, whoa, I don't know what's going on here, but it makes me feel something.
Yeah, that's those are always my favorite discovery moments. Is like going into something that you think you're not going to like, and then coming out of it feeling good.
Yeah,
it's the best.
Yeah. So K2, that song, I mean, talking about that kind of where that line is between power pop and something a bit harder, I think you nailed it on K2. Listening to it today, and because it's mastered a bit louder than the last record as well. That's something that I kind of noticed listening to them next to each other.
There's a lot more bass for sure in the whole record. And we tuned down all the instruments on pretty much all the songs to C sharp standard, which I think kind of like, so it's a heavier record, like just sonically a little bit. I think that comes through without necessarily sounding like a sludge band or like a sludgier band.
Yeah.
Liquid
Mike goes stoner doom.
I think Cody's a big reason for why it like we have maybe more of a harder edge though. Our drummer Cody, because it's just a powerhouse and he hits hard. Like he plays like a punk drummer, but we're kind of writing these like janglier songs and stuff.
Yeah.
He's kind of the essence of the band.
I love it when a drummer can play musically. You know?
Yeah, he's got a signature all his own. That like,
hell yeah.
I love hard hitting drummers.
What are you tuning your E down to then? If it's a C sharp, what does your low E go to?
C sharp, and then an A goes down to what would that be? Like F sharp.
Damn.
So it'd be like adding just 3 more frets to the end of the guitar. How
have you got used to that?
Well, when we play and when we've played these songs live, we just keep it in standard. We're still trying to figure out how to make it that translate live, because we just haven't had the time to like I hate having to tune on the fly. And we do have a lot of songs that are like the last record's all standard and stuff. So we got to figure that out, but it's so easy to translate. You just pretend you're in the same key, but it ends up sounding lower.
Right. Because you're tuning it all. You're tuning all the strings down the same amount.
Mm-hmm. Something you feel more than you like necessarily hear. I guess you just feel like the lowerness of it.
I guess you could get second guitars, but that's a lot of money and space.
Yeah, definitely.
Traveling around.
101, 101, 101, 101, 101, 101, 101, 101, 101,
So, talking about jobs, like, what's your situation now? You're a postal worker.
I am. Yeah, it'll be 3 years in April that I've been working there, and
nice. So you started in COVID.
I did. Yep. Everyone had masks on when I started, and then I didn't see everyone. I didn't know what anyone looked like until I was like 6 months into the job, and I finally saw everybody. And like, I'm sure there's, it's the weirdest job. I've tried to explain it to people. Like, it makes you frustrated in ways that you didn't know existed, kind of. And it's like, it seems like it's just part of the culture there to like hate working there. Like everyone's
it's part of the culture to
off.
hate it, to have like contempt for it.
Yeah, I think maybe that's just common of like most delivery positions, I'm sure, but
just grouches.
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice guys and they're nice people, to their customers and stuff. But you can just tell that they've been like, they're sick of it a lot of the time. But it's okay, when it's nice outside, it's nice, and it's whatever. But we go to the bar, like maybe we'll go and grab a drink after like a long day of work and stuff, and we'll just talk about work. It's like drives you. It's like, why are we talking about this?
Okay,
can we talk about anything else?
It's a lifestyle then. It's like you're steeped into it. Big part of your life.
There's a lot of like, creative people though that are postal carriers and stuff. It's like you get your nights off and stuff. I think it's definitely not the most unpopular job for a musician to have. Maybe not one that tours a lot, but you can definitely, it's definitely like it fits into that lifestyle.
Are you an early riser? You can get up with the chickens and the crows.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some winters when it's like the holiday season and we're pretty low on the totem pole or whatever, so we had to come in at like 5:30 and just come in way early and do stuff, and so I got used to it. I'm fine with getting up early.
And
I don't do it today. Today I didn't get up early today though.
Hell yeah. I should say, you should make a note, this is the 1st of January 2024, which is, I guess if you're into that kind of stuff, it's the day for thinking about what you want more in your life, what you want less in your life. Have you got any of that going on?
Yeah, I think this might be my last year I work there. I don't know when, but I think I've made a decision. I'm ready to try something a little more flexible. We're all ready to hit the road and do the thing.
Yeah. What a funny time, right? I mean, you're an adult human being, for most of your life, it's been like, I'll play music, and music will always be a side thing. And then having that kind of, that balance, or that, the tipping of the scales, being like, now is does it feel like now's the time to really kind of like full send Liquid Mike?
I think so. I think I have the resources to do it now, because I've been saving up for a while, and the job pays pretty good. Like it's a good gig. I can afford like to rent a practice space and like get some gear and which I've done, but that part's going to be kind of hard to say goodbye to a little bit. Just the comfortability of that, but I'm ready to be comfortable doing whatever.
And you write songs when you're out? Did I read? I think I read that somewhere that you're writing on your mornings.
Yeah, it's a pretty like mind. Not, I wouldn't say mind. It's kind of a mindless job. Like once you know the routes, you can kind of just coast, and if you're not a total bonehead, you can deliver the mail pretty accurately. It's pretty easy. Yeah. But I'll I'll record a voice memo, maybe the night before or something, of just like a melody or something, and then the next day I'll like throw that in the headphones for an hour or something and figure out what the harmonies could be, or like you'll figure out a line or two, and then you'll just kind of like snowball. It's a pretty good passive way of writing songs. I don't do it every time. It's better to be at home, but it's a good place to edit too. Like if you record a song with like your first draft of lyrics or something, then you can kind of play it in your head and just let it your mind kind of fill in like better lines or better word choices.
Yeah.
So I rarely write a full 100% of the song on the route, but I definitely do like, maybe like 30% of the writing just bumming around at work, which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might, you're like doubling down on getting shit done. So
big time. That's the efficiency right there.
You gotta be.
Will it be like the vocal melody that you'll have there? Will it be the guitar parts? I mean, I often think I'll think of both, yeah. Or I'm sorry, you finish. No, I was saying, because I imagine it's hard, it's just so much harder to get like chords or like have the fretboard in mind, when you're out, when you don't have a guitar in your hands.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of been the nice thing about it, because you can kind of step away from the fretboard and maybe like get away from your familiar patterns, and then you kind of just hum what would sound good. Yeah. Or like, and then you can translate that to the guitar, and then you have like new tricks that you maybe didn't have before.
Yeah.
So that's always a good way to, or been good for me to write, is like sing a guitar part that you can like sing. Those tend to be like the catchier ones.
I think I was reading something with Sheer Mag or something on YouTube with Sheer Mag, and they say that the riffs, I think they were talking about like an Iron Maiden's tune, and it was like, if you can remember after listening to it once or twice, if you can remember the guitar riff or whatever the guitar's doing, that's a good song. That's a good sign.
Totally. Yeah, I'm a longtime AC/DC truther. I think band, fuck it. Especially the guitars, like the guitar solos are just timeless, because they sound like you can sing them. Basically, you just remember that it gets stuck in your head or whatever. I wouldn't, no offense. I take no offense to people that would not agree with me on the AC/DC thing, but I love that. I love that band.
Big into it. So what were you doing? I often think like I'm 32, and I don't want to fall into those sort of tropes of being like, at this point I got my life together. But for me, in the last 5 years, I've just thought a lot more about what I'd like to do, and this kind of journalism, being in the music world, and just being stoked on that and trying to move forward with the best foot. I feel like that's really hard thing to think about in your 20s. I think most people I know have either got into something that they kind of fell into, or you just get a job and hope it pays all right, and hopefully, like you said earlier, hopefully you don't take it home with you, you don't talk about it at the bar. What's your life like been in terms of getting paid but wanting to play music?
Yeah, I've never expected to be fulfilled by my job, I guess. I've never had a job where I felt fulfilled like in that way. I've always had this though, which is like more than enough to like satisfy me on that end. And I'm kind of, I don't think that my band maybe will ever get to the point where it'll be the primary income thing, but it would be nice to make it more part, I'd always be into making it more part of my life. I don't think that I would ever resent it, writing songs. I don't see that ever happening for me. Like, how some people might say that they made their dream their job or something, and they started hating it or something, but you got to try it. And I think I love the angle of this podcast. I think this is like a really fresh take. I love hearing about people's jobs. People always have something to say about it, and it's always funny, or at least something interesting. Yeah,
I massively find the humor in something you take quite seriously, but also fun. That being music and writing songs. And then like somehow having like working, you basically have to be imaginative of how to offset everything in the balance.
Yeah, you got to make things work for make them work together instead of maybe being at ends with each other.
Totally. So what were you doing before you were a postal worker?
I had the worst job ever. I was a census taker. I've been doing government jobs it was the worst job I've ever had in my life. It was like I don't know how often you guys have censuses.
It's quite rare here. I think it's once every 7 years.
Okay, that's even more frequent than here. We do every 10 years.
Okay.
And when I did it, it was like middle of 2020, so right when COVID happened. And I was an enumerator, so I had to like go door to door to everyone that didn't answer the census in the mail. So I had to use my own car, and I was in the UP, and there's just so much space. I put like, I think 35,000 miles on my car in 2 months driving around. I fucked up my water pump. It like did a huge toll. I feel like it did irreparable damage on my car.
Did they?
But everyone hates you.
Yeah, these are the people who didn't fill out in the first place because they couldn't be asked. They're not going to be. They're not going to be too happy to see you. They'll be like, "Fuck off."
Mm-hmm. I mean, it got to a point where like, because the further along you're into the census job, the more. That's the ones you get where people have denied it 5 times, or it's the. So you got to go to these places, and like, you get to a point, and like 1 in every 3 of them, you're rolling up to like the middle of nowhere shack, and there's signs that are like, your trespassers will be shot and shit, and you just gotta like you just gotta be like, well, they better not shoot me, and they just hate you. Oh, and the worst is when you'd get one that was like they would have re-interviews just to check for like I don't know, quality control or whatever. So you like have to you're just like pulling teeth to get these people to like give you the smallest bit of information, and then 2 days later that's like you have to go back there and make sure that you did it right. And that was the worst. They'd be like, we just saw you, and they would just be steamed. And I don't blame them. I get that. I'd be mad too. I wouldn't want people to like be asking me and shit, but I usually try to make it pretty painless.
Yeah, I mean, you seem like you seem like an approachable person. You're an amicable kind of guy. I imagine but still like going. I guess when you live in the countryside, people live out there alone for a reason.
Definitely,
and America. Just the conservatism in America. Did you feel that conservatism?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there's, you can tell who really hates the government. And then here comes like a guy from the government asking for all your information. It was just like, it was like so funny. Looking back, it was funny. But I'm trying to remember. There's something really, yeah, for sure. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say about it. That was like really bad. It'll come to me later, but that job sucked.
What are your biggest memories from it? What are sort of the most notable people or houses?
Oh man, so there's this one that I rolled up on, and it was like off an old firefighter or highway, or no, it was a logger highway. That's what it was. And I rolled up, and there's like 8 people, and they all had sunglasses on, and I like. They didn't speak English like naturally or something. I think they were maybe like, I don't know, maybe Mediterranean or something, but they were like super pissed off looking, and they were we just couldn't communicate at all. But they were not happy that I was there, and he like kind of grabbed my like vest and was like, because he was like trying to see what was on my shirt and stuff. It was really just odd. I couldn't. But I was like, I would ask, and they would say no, and I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. This is not going to be. I don't want to die out here. I didn't think I was going to die or anything, but I did think that like could not have felt more not welcomed.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. It is because they're sort of in charge. You know what I mean? Like,
right?
They're angry. They're angrier than you.
I was like, yeah, I thought it was like a mob or something like that. The Italian mob.
What are you asking for? Like some like ticked boxes, dates, like basic stuff.
Just like stuff that's like I'm trying to think. How many people are in the house? Usually that's like the bare minimum they want, and where you were living on April, like of that specific day. And I would make up. Now I remember. Yeah, I would like find ways to get on their good side. Like if someone had a dog and they were pissed off, and I would ask them what their dog's name was, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's my dog's name." Or like, "What's your birthday?" And they'd be like, "Oh, that's my mom's birthday." I'd just lie to them to try to get them on the good side or something.
You're like, "Hey, you're an Aries."
Oh, me too. Yeah, so you gotta manipulate these people.
That's funny. Hey, some jobs give you those kinds of life skills, don't they?
They do. Yeah, that I feel like I still do it. You know, sometimes you just gotta, work them.
It helps. I think working at the pub really helped me go into shops and speak. You know, just go speak to the cashier. Be like, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" And just not be nervous about that. You know, just be very outgoing.
Right. How long did you work there?
Like not too long. My friends will laugh at me for doing this show because I've probably worked the least amount of time in jobs because I always found it really hard to hold stuff down. And I think my friends would probably say that I'm a bit of a flake when it comes to work. But I had lots of them. I think probably worked like maybe 6 jobs in a year. It's probably the most turnover, you know, from chopping down logs and various sort of, you know, some of the pubs down here will be like, we'll be friends with them and they're like, "Oh, we need you for a night or two." But I've always found it really hard to feel comfortable and feel that kind of, this is part of my life now. Like I physically reject that stuff. You know, I find it really hard to settle down doing something I don't like, which is, I'm starting to think like, hopefully that's the good thing, because then I'll just force myself to do something that I do like, whatever that is. And right now it's doing this show and interviewing bands. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of helps me in a sense.
Yeah, I think that's not uncommon for people our age. It seems like I don't know many people that have had the same job for longer than like 6 years anymore.
Yeah.
But which I think is fine. I think you can. I don't think the world right now is set up for like working at a place for your whole life.
This is it. And I think we've still got like that hangover from our parents' generation where it's like you should work a job forever. And now we're in this crossover time where, I mean, my girlfriend, she finds it really hard with work because it's just, she feels guilty when she's not working full time, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's definitely passed down. You know,
yeah.
I feel like that definitely can be if you grow up in a house that's like, you know, a work culture place. It's like hard to, you want to work. And I feel that too.
Have you got a bit of that then?
For sure. Both my parents work really hard and they still do. And so, yeah, I feel like that's just what happens. Yeah.
I feel like
not necessarily always a bad. That's not necessarily a bad thing either.
No,
definitely, I wouldn't say that at all. But yeah, there's not as many rewards in a lot of these jobs. You know, not many jobs have pensions or anything like that anymore. I don't know how many of them have good insurance anymore.
Yeah,
so it's like, what's the reason to stick around for forever?
Absolutely. If they're not going to treat you right, you don't owe them anything. And I'll still get that thing, you know, working occasionally I'll pick up some jobs and I'll still always have that thing of like looking at like my boss, like a teacher or a police person, you know, a cop, because I'm like, oh my God, what can I do for you? Even though in my head, I'm like, fuck you.
Right. Is the worst, have you ever had a supervisor that's been younger than you?
I don't think I have. But I've definitely worked with people who are younger than me that would earn, you know, a lot more than me.
I've never had that, or I've never had like a friend that was my supervisor, and I can imagine that would be such a weird. Maybe it'd be good. Maybe it'd be the worst thing ever.
I also think that there's that. Whereas going to university or college, studying was such like a defining part of someone's life. I don't think that's true. Did you study? What's your kind of feelings and all that? Your feelings about, going to college and that being a springboard to do stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a degree in communication, culture, and media. So, they're not hiring down there really right now at the communication
What kind of jobs are those? Is that...
It's like a glorified English degree, basically.
Okay.
You can kind of with writing. Like maybe an emphasis on, maybe marketing, and I'm like the worst guy at that ever. So I obviously didn't learn a whole lot. But I can, I'm glad I went, but I definitely don't feel like I'm a collegiate guy. You know what I mean? Like I don't identify with that. I still run into people like in town. I went to school in the next town over in Houghton, which is like, 2 hours away. But I run into people that'll be like, you went to Michigan Tech. Is it what they want to talk like shop on what the school is like, and I was like, I didn't really have that experience. I don't feel like too connected to it. But I had, I met, like, there's a good house show scene there.
Oh, nice.
I liked that. That was big for me. So I remember that. I remember, like, the people for sure, but not necessarily. And I feel like that maybe is a lot of people's what they get out of college these days anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think now it's really hard to find a purpose, with a capital P. I think people give themselves a hard time about it.
For sure. I'm trying to remember, feel like what do my friends do? I don't know. People find shit to do. Most of the time, that's like slow pitch softball or something. Like that's what's going to give people like their meaning in life. Or like playing darts or pool or something. Like at the end of the day, that's enough for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there are always times in people's lives when you like something unexpected happens and you take that chance, you take that opportunity with both hands and you're like, cool. That's given you a bit of fuel. You feel good. We don't have to be depressed about all this shit. You take your chances.
I hope it gets better. I think it could.
So were you playing music, or like have you got pretty well practiced at playing music alongside work and not being stressed out by it all? You don't strike me as someone who's a stressed out person, but you can never see inside someone's brain.
I get stressed out when I don't write a song in like a month. That's when I like everything starts to crumble around me or something. I get cranky and I'm just like, I don't know why. Yeah, it's just this like invisible thing. But it's I mean, you get done with work, you go write a song. I mean, you go record a song, and then that's the song. That's what's going to be on the album. It's nice. And I feel like I've, since like 2018 is when I put like the first like album that I was really satisfied with. I had a different band, We Should Be Laughing, that I had in college. I put that out, and it was just like, just make a record every year. That was kind of like just the goal, and then you kind of work around that. I can't remember, what was this question again? Just
like that kind of tension between like playing music.
Yeah, it's I haven't had any problems with it. Obviously, like now that we have maybe a bigger reach, we get offers a lot of the time for like one-off shows lately, in like maybe like in Chicago or Ohio or something. It's just like we really are so far away from anything that I just have to turn it down. Like I feel bad. It's just such a even if it's like it would have to be like a really great opportunity. It's like so far, because even to get from Milwaukee is probably the closest area with like a that people go to, and that's like 5.5 hours from here. So it'd be like 10 hours round trip for like one sweet show. It can be tough. So we kind of have to string them together to make it work, or just play in town, which gets old.
You know what? I feel so, because England is so small itself, and I grew up in a sub. You know, I'm like so naive to the fact that just hearing you there at that 30 seconds, I'm like, that's a big part of Liquid Mike, is it? That you are just in the middle of absolute nowhere.
Yeah, and I think that contributes more to like the outsider thing. But there's some bands in town that are like grinding and like making those weekender things work.
Yeah,
I'm very impressed by. Our drummer right now doesn't live in town. We have like a debased band. Like Cody lives in Bay City, Michigan, which is down by Detroit. Okay. And what do we have? We have 5 people in the band, so it's a lot to coordinate a lot of the time. Which is, my fault. So we kind of just are saving it for like when we want to play, we're gonna play. And it's just hard for one-offs, even though I'd like to, and I feel bad about saying, turning people down. But it's just what the situation is right now.
You mentioned like Chicago. Is that like playing something for like Red Scare or bands that you've heard of, supporting them?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. Or just friends or stuff like that. Yeah.
With Paul Bunyan's... What's it called again? What's the new record called? Paul Bunyan's
Slingshot, yeah. Do you know Paul Bunyan? I don't know if that's probably not a thing in the... Yeah. It's like American folklore. Like, it's like especially in like the Midwest, like Minnesota and Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, or Illinois. He's like a guy that every area kind of has their own guy. Like that. I think is it John Henry? Maybe. He's big rails. He, pounded spikes in the railroad down south, which is something faster than any machine. Paul Bunyan is like some sort of allegory for logging up here. He's like a giant dude that chopped 30 trees down with a single swoop or something. And there's like every different town. There's like a dozen towns that claim to be the home of Paul Bunyan. It's just dumb folklore. But I mean, we heard these stories in like grade school. We'd go on field trips and they'd tell us these like fables and stuff.
That's funny.
Yeah, but you can see his like artifacts all around. It seems like maybe every 100-mile diameter you can probably find like a giant Paul Bunyan statue up here. Yeah.
And did he have a slingshot? Does he have one?
That's just a made up thing some guy made up my buddy Zach told me about it because it's from his town. He lives in Gladstone. He plays bass in Liquid Mike. But there was a guy that had like a tree in his backyard that like grew 2 trunks after. So he just turned it into like a little art piece called Paul Bunyan Slingshot.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I feel like this is like our biggest. I was trying to also make like a big rock record, quote unquote. I was like, what's bigger than Paul Bunyan? And it kind of ties into like a lot of the themes of the album. It's kind of a lot about growing up around here.
It's good. It's a wink. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. It's
and K2. I mean, he's great we call it Spice here. And
yep. Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah. I mean, have you smoked? I've never smoked it. Have you?
I haven't either. I've been around it, but I knew it was bad then.
Scary stuff. I mean, what a great thing to write a song about, or what a great tool to have in a device to have in a song.
I'm sure I'm not the first, but man, I've seen people go crazy on
fucking weird
because it was all legal. I mean, I did see kids smoke it on the bus when I was in like high school, like my freshman year. Like they all called it legals. That's what everyone called it. It was because they could they'd smoke and then it wouldn't be on a drug test if they got drug tested for like sports or something like that.
Right.
So that was the thing. But
you ever smoked
salvia?
That?
No, I've never seen anyone smoke salvia, but it seems like people might do that and then go away for like 2 months in their head or whatever. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I smoked it in a bong.
What happened?
I felt like I was a boat in the nighttime, and I fell off my chair.
Did you even see what was like in your? Could you even see what was going on in your world, or was it all imaginary?
It was. So I was like in a chair, and like I like it was almost like I became like, I kind of lost. So my whole brain went blank, and it was dark, and it was in the nighttime. It was like the final scene of Titanic or something like that. Where they were in the ocean, and you're in freezing water, and there was a boat coming across it, and I want to say I wasn't in the water. Like, I didn't feel like freezing cold, but I felt like I was a boat, and I can still picture it now. And it was just fucking. That's it, just the ocean, the middle of the ocean at night time with another boat coming through, and it was just bizarre. And my other friend that was there, I mean, we both did it, and he got norovirus that night from the bong.
Oh my god. What a nightmare.
Funny. Really bad nightmare. But yeah, hey, this is great. I think the one thing about these conversations is that it's all encompassing, isn't it? Like, music's clearly such a big part of your life. You must think about it. You must think about it every minute.
I do. Yeah. And it's like, the nice thing is you don't have to think of, you can remove yourself from it and just kind of, you can get back to how you were when you were a kid or something, listening to music. Like, every time you find something new that you like, it's like, just takes you back to that feeling. Yeah. Which, has never gone away from me yet. I don't think it will. So it's got some staying power for sure. I don't mind thinking about it all the time.
Same. I love doing these. Same for me with this podcast. There's something I just get out of talking about music that makes me so excited, and I can track it back to skateboarding and BMXing when I was a kid, and like being obsessed with wanting to build a ramp, and you look at a small rail or a 3-set, and you're like, I want to do that. I'm gonna try and 180 it. That feeling is this feeling I get doing this, and it's like it's quite simple, really. It's just hold on to that feeling.
Yeah, it's I guess I can't speak for everyone, but yeah, I would hope that feeling would stick around for a lot of people.
Yeah, and you wish that upon your friends and everyone else that they could have that feeling
about it, or yeah.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
That's it. So, I mean, just to wrap up, how you're basically in this time right now where you're looking towards playing shows. You're ready, being a band who is really, hours away from any other town. You're near it. You said the next town across is 2 hours away, and that sounds like a small town. This is the year, 2024 is the year that Liquid Mike goes out and does shows, a string of shows.
We're gonna play outside of Michigan. For sure. We haven't left this. We haven't even left the fucking state yet. It's so bad.
And Paul Bunyan's Slingshot. It sounds so. I try not to use the word big, but it's like it's broad. There's a lot of bass in it, like you said. The instrumentation, the arrangements is rad. Did you go with a producer that you hadn't been with before? And are you doing this with a label?
Nope. It's all just me. We're just doing it ourselves. Great. Yeah,
great.
I kind of want to keep it that way. I don't have any trust in people, but I have trust in me.
Well, I think anyone that you're going to work with, any label that's going to put out your records, if they're good, they should recognize that that's what makes the Liquid Mike sound, is you doing it.
Yeah, I am a control freak, 100%. I'm open to trying a producer. Totally, but every time I've like kind of geared up to do it, I'll be like, next one I'm going to do it. I just end up doing it. So when I really run out of, but we're after this one we'll be 5 albums in.
Wow.
Maybe it will be a good idea to like just shake it up sonically. That's just the easy way to like, I feel like you need something a little different every album, and that might just be like a cheap way to, or an easy way to get something new.
was listening to that Guided by Voices record, Warp and Woof.
Nice.
Is that the name of it?
I think so. A couple years ago.
And it just sounds a bit different. It's got more of like a psych sound to it. I'm like, oh, this cool. This is cool. Like, this is clearly Bob Pollard, but it just sounds a bit different. And I don't know. I didn't even read into it yet, but I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're just going with a different studio or a different producer, and it sounds cool, And I think one of the cool things about being a prolific band is that when you make a record that sounds different, it's not like the end of the world. You're going to make a record after that.
Yeah. You should, yeah. I never get hung up on that kind of stuff. Like, obviously you want people to like it. There's a part of you that wants it to be received well, but the stakes are low. You can just make if people don't like it, who cares? You can make a better one next time.
Totally.
I don't really believe. I don't believe in the whole like maybe peaking thing. Like I feel like you can make a great record at all stages of your life. I feel like you can make a better record later. You got more experience and
and right now seems to be like a cool time. Like you'll never be able to control the way that people find out about you or listen to you, but what you can do is kind of use it to your strengths, or like I guess really what I'm talking about here is like the way that Bandcamp and DSPs is how people listen to music. And if you can release more songs,
right,
that there's no downsides. It feels like there's no downsides to releasing more songs ever.
Yeah. And I feel like, I certainly didn't invent putting out a lot of songs and stuff.
No.
People have been doing that forever. But like, I have a lot of advantages to being able to do that. Obviously, I don't have to tour. I mean, I don't tour. We recorded ourselves at our house, at our place, like, and our songs are short, and our albums are short. So of course we're gonna like make a lot of songs. I feel like if we were writing like maybe more experimental, so I don't know. I find pop music or like experimental music to be a lot more interesting when it's good and hard to make than pop music. I feel like pop music is kind of like there is a formula and there is like a trick, and you can kind of subvert it and make it cooler. I feel like by making these songs shorter, I think we're doing something interesting, but we have a lot of reasons why we can make a lot of records, I feel like.
Hell yeah. I think that there are some bands. There's a great band called The Murder Capital from here. And nice. Are you wearing a King Cruel t-shirt?
I am. Yeah.
Archie's from I don't know Archie, but he's down the road in Peckham. He lives near here. And
oh, cool.
So King Cruel and Murder Capital, there's this kind of, the slow intro that forces you to slow down with it, and then it kind of the song carries you. That's a really interesting thing, I think. Now is quite an interesting time for that.
Yeah, I love. King Cruel's been one of those bands that for me that I found when I was like a teenager, and then it's just been like, you kind of grow out of certain things, but I think his new album's like the best one he's ever made. I think he's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wicked. He's just so on his own thing, isn't he? He's so on his own plane. Yeah,
I like. That's something I always kind of look for in bands too. That are like, you can definitely tell they have it's all going on in their head,
Yeah, it's getting like that.
They know exactly what they want. Yep.
Yeah. So there he bloody well was, Michael from Liquid Mike. Paul Bunyan's Slingshot is going to be one of the records of the year. You heard it here second. Go to Liquid Mike, check them out on Bandcamp. Damn, this stuff is so good. Thank you so much for listening. 101 Part-Time Jobs. Subscribe, leave a review. Got 2 shows with Idols next week, which I was worried about, but I don't think I have anything really reason to worry about, just as long as I don't get so rouge in the face. That's one of my problems, is that when I get self-aware, that my face will go all red. So I'm going to try and avoid that stuff. Got a live show with Bob Vylan. That's on sale for April. If you're in London, or if you can make it to London for the 7th of April, it's a Sunday, come down to Bush Hall in fancy West London. Come hang out with us while I speak to Bob Vylan and also Bex about their lives in music and how they perceive everything they're doing and what they're doing differently. We're talking to a bunch of artists who are doing things differently. That's our MO. All right, thank you so much and see you next week. Cheers.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.